Week 1 of the NFL season is here,
Dum
and
dum dum dum.
Seattle Seahawks are going to welcome in Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. Let's go over some key matchups here right away for me. Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas going against Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory. Um,
Yep,
I'm
something I'm
gonna,
looking for
yep,
right off the bat too. Yep,
I'm
right
going to
with you.
be really curious how Tarek Woolen does against Jerry Judy
Yes.
and kind of the Cortland Sutton. And then the final one, at least for me, is going to be Jordan Brooks versus Javonte Williams, both playing that running back and middle linebacker spot.
Yeah.
This is going to be the first time Russ has to deal with the 12s as the opponent. He's obviously heard it for 10 years now at this point, but I think it's a totally different animal when you're the opposing quarterback. But what kind of your initial thoughts here welcoming Russ back into Seattle?
Oh yeah. No, totally. Funny you picked up on those things. I was definitely looking for the same thing. The offensive line
Yep.
versus Chubb and Gregory
Yep.
right off the bat. The linebacker play of the Seahawks,
Yep.
versus plays in the middle. I'm
Yes.
really
Yep.
curious to see if we've gotten the middle figured out yet.
Yep.
Last year, just throw a seam and get your 15 yards on the
Yep.
Seahawks all last year.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they got that cleaned up. And with the speed of the linebackers, not to take anything away from Wagner or KJ
No.
Wright, but we got Brooks now who can fly around. I think Barton can fly around. So I think
Also
we're
be Boy Mafe. I'm curious. He's
Boy
fast.
Mafe,
Be
yeah,
curious what he does as well.
exactly. So the other one that I'm surprised you didn't mention, especially on defense, is how do they incorporate Jamal Adams
Yeah.
into the defense?
That's true.
Do they let him go wild, like he should be?
Yeah.
Release the guy and let him go play. Because really, when you think about it, we in that sense we have Kobe Bryant being that nickel corner.
Yep.
I think if he comes in, boom, you're releasing Adams to go wreak havoc on the quarterback.
Well, I think kind of the great thing that happened with the preseason is Josh Jones became legit.
Yes.
He really showed out, and I think it's going to give Seattle the versatility to go three safeties in the game and bring
Yeah.
Jamal down into the box where let's face it, that's where his natural position is. If he was
Oh, yeah.
5 inches taller, he'd be an outside backer. He would not be a safety. So I think having him back there, Quandre roaming center field, a little bit like Earl Thomas back in the day.
Right.
Hopefully they can get Jamal in the box. Let's get to that 9.5 sacks that we had in 2020. But definitely a good point to bring up. I am, like you said, up the middle, but just what is this defensive scheme going to look like? The past 10
Yeah.
years, really, maybe I'll say after Super Bowl 48, but it's always been this just non-aggressive wait, let him march down the field to the 20-yard line, and then we'll try and tighten things up.
Yeah.
And hopefully
we'll settle for a field goal.
yeah, exactly. Like I would really like to see, like this year's it in all realness. If we're being completely not full of ourselves and fake, it's kind of a wash of a year. So
Oh, yeah.
I'd really like to see like what can Daryl Taylor do if they let him just go. What can Mafe do? Can he sprint out I would love to see the defense just be aggressive and get a good understanding of what a lot of these young guys can do. Maybe that's wrong to think, and we should play conservative like always. But I'm kind of tired of the base zone coverage that we've done for the last 8 years.
Exactly. And come on, let's face it. What is this league? Is it a running league?
No, it's
No,
a pass league.
it's a passing league. So how do you you go after that quarterback and make him as miserable as possible?
Yep. And I think that I don't know if you saw this, and if you haven't, I definitely recommend reading it. But ESPN released this article on the front office and Russell, and how even back in 2016 and 17 they thought he was starting to fall off the cliff.
Fall off.
And obviously he signed that huge contract at the time, and obviously his new contract's even more. But just kind of interesting hearing what they had to say and how they really didn't believe he could become the quarterback that he wants to become because of his height. And
Right.
once his mobility goes down, it's going to be real tough for him to keep playing that magician Russ play that he's done. And going back to last year, there was one play that they highlighted, especially was against Chicago in the 16th game of the season, where he tried to roam out his little spin move he does out of the pocket. And next thing you know, he's 15 yards in the backfield getting sacked by Robert Quinn. So just kind of a really interesting point. And, the other interesting thing real quick is when they offered to trade Baker to Cleveland for the number 1 pick, it seemed very possible they would have took Josh Allen. And, of course, hindsight's 2020, but looking at it now, I would have loved to have a Josh Allen in a Seahawks jersey.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been. Yeah.
But, let's do this real quick in 5 seconds. Score predictions for week 1.
Yeah, as far as on the line, I would say take the over. I think the line or the over under is 44.5. I'd say take over. I don't think the defenses are going to catch up with the offenses. Russ is going to want to come out and try to bury us.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to try to do the same somehow.
Yeah.
Spread's about 6.5. I'm okay with that. So if I'm looking at it, I'm thinking 30-23 Denver.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's fair or wrong at all. I'd probably go 35-24.